What happens when history, religion, geopolitics, and identity collide? You get one of the most complex and controversial countries on earth, Israel. A country established in the ashes of World War II, driven by a dream, and surrounded by unresolved tensions since day one. Welcome to Ms.Shortcut. Today, we explore the history of Israel. We explore everything from its foundation and decades of war to its mythical warfare technology and today's explosive reality involving Hamas, Iran, and the question of Palestine. The birth of Israel. The story of Israel officially begins in 1948, but its roots run far deeper. The Jewish people's longing to return to what they consider their ancestral homeland traces back thousands of years. However, the modern momentum for a Jewish state began in the late 19th century with the rise of Zionism, a political movement calling for the re-establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. During the early years of Islam, the Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, and his followers engaged in significant military conflicts with the Jewish people. Therefore, they are an integral part of the historical record. At the time, the region was under Ottoman control, and later, British mandate. Jewish immigration increased rapidly after World War I and exploded following the Holocaust. The world, shocked by the horrors of Nazi genocide, grew more sympathetic toward the creation of a Jewish homeland. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion declared the establishment of the State of Israel. For Jews around the world, it was a moment of hope and revival. But for Palestinians, it marked the beginning of the Nakba, or catastrophe, when over 700,000 were displaced. Arab-Israeli Wars. Israel's independence was not celebrated by its neighbors. Almost immediately, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq invaded. Israel not only survived but gained more land than initially assigned by the United Nations partition plan. In 1956, Israel joined Britain and France in attacking Egypt over the nationalization of the Suez Canal. Though the military operation was initially successful, international pressure forced Israel to retreat. But it was the 1967 Six-Day War that would forever change the map. Facing what it perceived as an imminent threat from neighboring Arab states, Israel launched a preemptive strike and seized control of the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Sinai Peninsula, and Golan Heights. This military success brought international admiration and deepened Palestinian grievances. In 1973, Egypt and Syria launched a surprise attack during Yom Kippur, Judaism's holiest day. Though initially caught off guard, Israel pushed back and emerged stronger, with increased U.S. support. Peace with Egypt, conflict with Palestinians. One major occasion happened in 1979, when Israel signed a peace treaty with Egypt, the first Arab country to do so. Egypt regained the Sinai Peninsula, and in return, recognized Israel. However, peace with Palestinians remained elusive. In 1987, the First Intifada erupted, a grassroots uprising in the West Bank and Gaza against Israeli military occupation. Scenes of stone-throwing youths clashing with armed soldiers circulated worldwide, shifting global public perception. This led to the Oslo Accords in the 1990s. For the first time, both sides officially recognized each other. The Palestinian Authority was created to govern parts of the West Bank and Gaza. Hope soared but didn't last. The Second Intifada in 2000 was far deadlier, marked by suicide bombings, Israeli airstrikes, and military incursions. The peace process broke down. Trust lost. Rise of Hamas and the Gaza blockade. In 2006, Hamas, a militant Islamic group, won the Palestinian legislative elections. Soon after, violent conflict erupted between Hamas and the more moderate Fatah party, effectively splitting the Palestinian territories. Hamas took control of Gaza, while the West Bank remained under the Palestinian Authority. Israel, citing security concerns, imposed a land, air, and sea blockade on Gaza. Hamas fired rockets into Israel. Israel launched military operations in return. Civilian casualties mounted on both sides. The 2008-2009 Gaza War, 2012, 2014, and more recently in 2021, all followed a similar pattern: Hamas rockets, Israeli retaliation, ceasefire, and repeat. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza deepened, while diplomacy stagnated. Iran's shadow, the bigger regional picture. Beyond the Palestinian issue, Israel has increasingly clashed with Iran. The two countries never shared borders, but their enmity runs deep. Israel sees Iran's nuclear ambitions and support for Hezbollah and Hamas as existential threats. Iran views Israel as a Western outpost in the Middle East, illegitimate and oppressive to Palestinians. In recent years, Israel has conducted covert operations, including cyber attacks and assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists. Iran, in turn, supports proxy forces across the region: Hezbollah in Lebanon, Islamic Jihad in Gaza, and militias in Syria and Iraq. The stakes rose sharply in 2023 to 2024, as Iran directly launched missile attacks on Israel for the first time. Israel responded with strikes on Iranian military targets in Syria and even suspected operations on Iranian soil. What began as a local land conflict has now spiraled into a wider regional showdown, a Cold War in the desert heat. In 2025, Israel launched a military operation against Iran, officially declaring war. Within 10 days, the USA initiated airstrikes in support of Israel. The regional power poles, namely Russia and China, have stated that they consider stabilization to be an urgent priority, and that the cessation of hostilities is imperative. The question of whether this war will resolve the protracted crises between the two countries and their allies remains to be seen. In the midst of the ongoing conflict, the Gaza Strip continues to face significant humanitarian challenges, with the population experiencing severe food insecurity. In response, Israel has implemented humanitarian sanctions, and the international community is called upon to play a constructive role in addressing the situation. Is peace still possible? With every new conflict, the chance for peace seems to shrink. Extremism thrives in desperation. Politicians on both sides exploit fear for votes. Innocent civilians pay the highest price. But voices for peace still exist: Israelis and Palestinians working together, NGOs on the ground, international mediators. Yet so far, no deal has lasted long enough to change the reality on the ground. Jerusalem remains a flashpoint. The two-state solution seems increasingly distant. Generations of Palestinians have grown up under occupation or blockade. Israelis live under the constant threat of rockets and terrorism. And yet, both peoples dream of a normal life. Israel's story is one of survival, conflict, and paradox. A country born from trauma, constantly fighting for legitimacy, locked in an ongoing cycle of war and fragile peace. Its future is uncertain, shaped by shifting alliances, technology, ideology, and the dreams of people who simply want to live in peace. This has been Ms.Shortcut, where we tell the full story, in under 10 minutes. If you found this episode insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know, what will it take to bring real peace to the region?